Hi everyone, this is Dave Calpito and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to learn how to write a column in the simplest and clearest way. So if you're a student, a campus journalist, or a beginner writer, this video is for you. All right, let's begin with what is a column. This is going to be explained super simple. All right. A column is an article where the writer shares their opinion, their insights, or personal reflections about a specific issue. So remember, it's not news reporting, it's not a feature story. It's basically you saying, here's what I think about this certain topic, and here's why. Again, so here's what I think about a certain topic, and here's why. Columns use a conversational tone. Parang kausap mo lang yung reader. Alright? Now let's move on to the purpose of a column. So a column answers one big question. What do I think about this topic? So when you're writing a column, you have to answer that question. What do I think about this topic? You write a column if you want to, number one, react to a specific event, for example, a school event or a community event. Number two, when you share your experience, when you want to share your experience. Number three, when you give an opinion on a community or a national based problem or issue. And lastly, to inspire or motivate your readers. Now, how are you going to choose a topic? The trick is you have to make it specific, not too broad. Again, make it specific, not too broad. So I'm going to give you examples. Too broad is when you're discussing about school problems. It's better if you're answering this specific question, why we need quiet spaces during lunch, right? So that's better as opposed to just randomly discussing school problems. Another one is when you're talking about sports in general, that's too broad. Okay, it's better if you specify it. What I learned about losing our volleyball game. All right, be as specific as possible. So a focused topic makes writing easier. All right, take note about that. Now listen up carefully because in this slide, I'm going to be discussing how to start with a strong lead. All right, the lead is your opening paragraph. Each job is to grab attention. All right, so you can start in different ways. You can start with a short story, a question, a surprising fact, or a relatable situation. Again, you can start with either a short story, a question, a surprising fact, or a relatable situation. So I'm going to give you examples so that it would be clearer for you. All right? The first one is a lead in the form of a question. Have you ever tried studying in a hallway that's louder than the cafeteria? All right, so that's a lead in the form of a question. The next example is a lead in the form of a short story or a relatable situation. Last Tuesday, I saw a grade 9 student eating lunch on the floor. All right, so the goal and the trick is you have to make it simple and real. It should be real, all right? It should be real. It should be simple. Now, the next part is for you to state your opinion clearly. Okay, so right after your lead, you have to tell the readers your stand. Okay, right after your lead, tell the readers your stand. Examples: I believe our school needs more quiet spaces, or for me, students should be allowed to use phones during free time. Right? Again, avoid long explanations. Be as simple and clear as possible. Just say your opinion in one clear sentence. So again, that's right after your lead. That's your opinion. All right. Now, after stating your opinion, it's now time for you to support your opinion. So this is the body of your column. This is where you have to give your reasons, your examples, and your stories. Okay. A simple pattern that you can follow is the following. All right. Number one, you can start with your reason, then followed by your example. All right. After that, um, beef it up with your personal observation as well as with a mini story. Again, so this is a simple pattern that you may want to consider when writing your column. Okay. Number one, your reason. Number two, your example. Three, your personal observation. And four, your mini story. Okay. Again, use simple English. Talk like you're explaining to a friend. All right. That's the trick. Now let's move on to one of the most important parts of your column, if not the most important part. All right. End with a strong closing. All right. Your conclusion, your closing. So your ending can be a call to action, a helpful reminder, a hope or suggestion, or a memorable line. All right. I'm going to give you examples to make it clearer. Small changes can make big differences. All right. So this is a memorable line. The next one. Maybe it's time we listen to what students actually need. So it's in the form of a call to action, a helpful reminder, or a suggestion. All right. So that's how you end with a strong closing. Now, pay your full attention because I'm going to be discussing a simple structure that you can apply or you can follow when writing a column in a competition, for example. So it would be easier for you to write your article. Okay, so here's the easiest structure for beginners. Okay, number one, again, that's your opening paragraph or your lead. The next part or the next paragraph, that's your opinion or your stand. The next part would be your first reason, plus expound it with an example, with a mini story, etc. Okay, a relatable situation. Okay, number four, that's your another reason. So it's not just enough that you're putting in one reason and example. You have to provide another reason and example as well. The next part is your reflection or personal insight. That's the paragraph or that's the section of your column in which you're adding your personal insight as well as your reflection. And the last part would be your ending or your conclusion. All right. Um, Even young writers can actually follow this. So this is another formula for you. LORERRC. L stands for your lead or opening paragraph. O, your opinion or your stand. R, which is your reason one. E, your example for your reason one. Another R, which is for your reason two. And next, that would be your reflection or your insight. All right. And the last part would be your conclusion or your ending. That's your call to action or your memorable line. All right. This is even simpler. Another formula for you. And you have to memorize this so that it would be easier for you later on. Okay. Your hook, your stand, your reasons, your examples, your insight, and your end. Okay. Hook, stand, reasons, examples, insight, end. I hope that's clear. All right, we're almost done with the video, but don't end it yet, all right? Because in this part, I'm going to be reading a sample mini column. But just a disclaimer, okay? This is just a sample mini column to help you see how a simple column looks. Let's start with the title or headline right away. So the title is Why Quiet Mornings Matter. So that's actually the title and not the one appearing on your screen. I'm sorry about that. Again, the title is Why Quiet Mornings Matter. Let's start with the opening paragraph or the lead, all right? Last week, I arrived at school earlier than usual, and for the first time, the hallway was actually quiet. For a moment, it felt peaceful, a rare break from the usual morning rush. So the opening paragraph is telling a story, actually a relatable story. It's something that you probably experienced in the past, right? So that's actually a good lead or opening paragraph. Now let's move on to the reason. Oh, sorry, the stand of the column, right? I believe students need more quiet spaces at the start of the day. So that's actually simple, just one sentence, and very effective, right? I believe students need more quiet spaces at the start of the day. All right. Now let's move on to the reason plus examples. Okay. So in this mini column, I'm just gonna be providing one reason and example, but in reality, you have to provide at least one. Right. Okay. Not everyone can handle noise right away, which is true, right? Some want to review, some want to rest, and some just want a calm moment before classes begin. So that's your reason. Um, all right, let's move on to your example. I remember being a student myself, loud mornings already drained my energy before the first period even started. A calm environment sets the tone for better focus. So that's um, the example, right? So it's also telling a story to provide example for the reason, right? To back up the reason, right? Uh, the next part is your reflection, your personal insight about the topic, right? A school improves not just through big programs, but also through small comforts, which is true. And sometimes that small comfort it is simply a peaceful morning. I just want a peaceful morning. That that's really a big help, right? Okay, now we move on to the last part, which is our conclusion. If we could give students even 10 minutes of quiet time, I think we'd see happier, more focused learners. All right. Just a simple line, memorable line, but very, very effective. All right. And that's it. A super simple guide to column writing. All right. If you want tutorials on news writing, feature writing, or editorial writing, comment down below. All right. We actually have a bunch of videos about these topics in our channel. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your school paper team. If you're joining a press conference or a writing competition soon, good luck. All right. Just watch this video over and over if you're joining a column writing competition. Okay. All right. See you in the next video.